Let's bring into the conversation former MSNBC host and contributor to Washington Monthly, Chris Matthews, Washington bureau chief at USA Today, Susan Page, and professor of history at Rice University, historian Doug Brinkley. So, Chris, talk about a perfect circle, things turning here. When you were younger, you always heard a Catholic will never be elected president. And then John Kennedy was elected in 1960. Yesterday, I think everybody was saying the same thing. I know one of my sons texted me and said, "Tell me, who were we expecting to be the Pope after the white smoke came out?" And I sent him 5 of the 6 names that were in the New York Times, but I intentionally left off the American because I said, that will never happen. And of course, Chris, we all were saying it, and it happened. What does it mean to you as a Catholic?
Well, it was a wow. I have to tell you, I watched it. I was emotional about it. I never, like you, I never thought it would happen. I thought it would have another Italian. I thought it would be Paolini, the Secretary of State who worked with Francis. I thought it would be the other guy. I thought of all the usual political calculations you and I try to figure out. Is the moderate more likely to win? Is the Francis guy likely to win? The anti-Francis guy? I thought it would be a moderate Secretary of State. And here he is, an American guy who spent 20 years in Peru, who became a Peruvian citizen as well as an American, from Chicago, from Villanova, as we say in Philadelphia, with an accent on the O. Very much a Big Five character who grew up in Philly with the Philadelphia competition from LaSalle and St. Joe's and Temple and Penn. And he's all part of that, with Ralph Willard, the coach there. Now he's the new Pope from there. I mean, it's quite a day for Father Donahue at Villanova. Amazing big victory for him to have a grad who's now the Pope of the world, of 1.4 million Catholics. When he comes here and speaks with a Chicago accent, I'm sure he still has, it's going to be a wondrous day for him to be back in the United States and talking to us with an American accent. I mean, it's going to be an amazing thing. We've had always foreign popes, and now we've got one of our own. And Leo, when he said Leo, I just jumped. I said, Leo the 13th, this guy is going to be a social liberal. He's going to be a progressive. He's concerned about the poor, about working wages, about a living wage. He talks like Sherrod Brown, actually, who talked about the dignity of work. Laborare est orare. To work is to pray. He's a big part of that. To work in a factory is to pray. It's so Catholic, so historic, and so much a part of our social tradition.
Yeah, Chris, certainly staking a claim for Philadelphia there, but the Pope certainly is Chicago through and through. One can imagine, Doug, Professor Brinkley, what the Mass would be like, whether it's Grant Park or somewhere else, what that scene will be like in Chicago. But let's talk also about what it means to have an American Pope at this moment, when the world's relationship with the United States has changed so much in recent months.
Well, you just mentioned Grant Park, and we think of Grant Park of 1968 and the Yippies and the Black Panthers, tear gas, Mayor Daley's police, and it became, kind of a hellscape there. And Grant Park was stagnant. The city didn't re-engage with it until 1979, when Pope John Paul II came to Grant Park, and all of Chicago turned out for the Pope, and it kind of gave a rebirth to that park, which Barack Obama gave his victory speech. The point is, Chicago's Catholics, I cannot even exaggerate what this means for that community. In the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, when the city burned, Catholics were treated like dirt. Mother Jones, the great labor organizer, was there trying to help people get away. They were considered unworthy of a human existence, Irish Catholics, and that had come to Chicago. Cut to the power of John F. Kennedy becoming president. It's only really Kennedy winning, and now this is for the history books that America has a pope, and one that I think is going to do a great job because Pope Leo XIV was hand chosen in a sense by Pope Francis. and will continue, which doesn't get talked about now, climate change. I'll be interested. How do you think this Pope will look at climate? Because Pope Francis really got deep in that.
He did, and I think he'll definitely carry on that legacy. I think what's really important to understand is for the last 2.5 years, Pope Leo has been basically head of HR at the Vatican. He's been the Pope, the bishop who has helped Pope Francis appoint bishops all around the world. And Pope Francis emphasized, let's appoint bishops who are pastoral, who care about the environment, who care about the poor, who care about God's people, and who want to engage other religions. So.
And there's sort of a sense among some Vatican observers, Susan Page, that Pope Francis put this cardinal in that position so he would get to know the other cardinals, which might help his election to be Pope when that day came.
Yeah, so all politics is local, not just in Chicago politics, but in papal politics as well. You know, we've talked about how energizing this has been for American Catholics in Chicago and really across the country. An opportunity for this new Pope, if he chooses to take it, to have a big voice in America on a range of issues. Doug mentioned climate change, on abortion, on immigration, an issue that's, of course, front and center at this White House, and something that this new Pope has talked about. And Chris Matthews, I'm wondering, you bring a political eye to these things. Do you think this Pope will choose to be a force in American politics, and could he if he wanted to?
Well, it's good to see Kevin O'Brien again. Nice to see you, Father. I think the fact that he spoke in Italian and in Spanish yesterday, not in English, that he reasserted our connection with Europe, something that matters to me. You talk about John F. Kennedy and Ich bin ein Berliner in Germany and West Berlin in 1963, reuniting us with the free world. I think it's very important. I think the fact that he spent 20 years in Peru, he became a Peruvian citizen, is part of that, as well as an American, is very powerful. And I think his message about immigration will be looking out for the poor. It's going to be very much a north-south relationship. He will come with his experience in Latin America and South America, as well as America and Chicago and Villanova. And it's going to be very interesting to see how he pairs the two of our Latin American friends and new immigrants with his papacy. I go back to this one thing, though. He's an American. I mean, there is nothing like this. I never thought it would happen with Joe. I never thought the cards were there for an American to pick them up. And just like in the movie Conclave, the person who knew all the other cardinals was in the best advantage to benefit from that. I mean, he did work with the other cardinals in picking them and dealing with them. And I think it's very important that he's one of us. He's one of us. You don't need a translator to talk to the Pope. It's us and him. Yeah. And this is real to Catholics. I'm telling you, the fallen away Catholics, the ones that go to church so often, are going to go this Sunday. This is a coming back moment for a lot of Catholics, I think.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Chris Matthews, as always, thank you so much. And Doug Brinkley, yesterday, you actually had Mike Barnicle, tongue-in-cheek, of course, but talk about Chicago politics. He goes, maybe sacrilege, but we have an American Pope mainly because Pope Francis packed the court. Like he appointed, 80% of the cardinals who voted yesterday. It's very clear, and we talked a little bit about it before, that you look at where Pope Leo served and look how Pope Francis moved him and guided him throughout the politics of the Vatican. Very clear that he was set up for success, right?
Completely. And we have to keep in mind Chicago being so large and what his time in the south side of Chicago meant. I saw people saying he would be a Cubs fan yesterday. You're spending time on the south side, you're with the White Sox. And that south side is where it was given America so much. You know, Hyde Park, where he was at for a while, the Obamas spent time there. You know, you're dealing with what's going to happen at their new presidential library coming up, but also what Bronzeville and Chicago's meant for Black America. America. And the Latino culture in Chicago gets so underwritten about, but mainly the key is he's a parish priest. And as Catholic Church has had a lot of problems and scandals, but the core of the Catholic Church isn't the Pope, it's the parish priests that are helping people all over the world. He did that with such excellence in Peru and with such love. He has dual citizenship with Peru, and really, we should honor America's parish priests that are doing those masses we've talked about every Sunday, but often don't get the good press because there's some, rogue event happening. And I grew up Catholic, and my parish priests have always been my friends, and you're my friend too.